Welcome to The Unbridled Woman with your host, Deanne Rose. Dive deep into the essence of your feminine light, harness the strength that lies within, and rise beautifully into your authentic power. Now, here's Deanne.
Hello, Unbridled Women. Today, this episode is so near and dear to my heart, and my guest is a mentor that I have been following for the past few years right now. So we are going to be addressing women empowerment as it pertains to pelvic health and wellness. And we're going to be breaking the silence and stigma surrounding pelvic health issues, empowering you through knowledge, understanding, and community support. Our aim today is to provide a platform where women feel seen, heard, and inspired to take charge of their health and their well-being. So welcome to today's episode. And like always, I like to open our circle today with a prayer. As we gather here today for our podcast, The Unbridled Woman, we seek guidance and wisdom. May our conversations be blessed and filled with insight and compassion. And may each word spoken here empower and uplift the hearts of all who listen. Grant us the courage to explore new ideas, the strength to face challenges, and the grace to support each other in our journeys. Let this space be a beacon of hope, a source of inspiration, and a testament to the unyielding spirit of women everywhere. May our discussions not only enlighten, but also bring about positive change in our lives and in the world. And I invite you, if you can, to close your eyes, and we're going to take 3 deep belly breaths together, grounding ourselves here in the present moment. So as you inhale through your nose, just feeling your lungs expand, your belly expand. And then on your exhale, allow your body to start to soften, maybe feeling your hips, your pelvis in your chair, your seat. Taking another deep breath in. And then a slow breath out, letting the outside world go and taking this time for yourself to be present and listening. And an inhale in and exhale. And before we begin today, I just want to give a short shout out to our sponsor, Native Path. They are an amazing company doing great things in this world, and they have a beautiful special that they are providing to my listeners. So please take advantage of this product. I actually been personally using it for a few years now, and it is remarkable. So let us get together and celebrate Dagmar Khan, my beautiful guest today. Dagmar is one of the world's leading leading women's healthcare specialists, and the founder of the Flourish Institute, a global women's pelvic health and business development company dedicated to helping practitioners become a sought-after women's health specialist with a financially nourishing business and a mission that transforms female lives. Her Flourish method is sparking a revolution in female empowerment through trauma-informed pelvic care that addresses the root of any health challenges by considering the whole woman, body, mind, and soul, and allows women to become agents of their own healing. For the past 5 years, Flourish has attracted visionary women's health practitioners who want to deeply transform women's health and lives and see remarkable changes in the world. Her work has been providing healing solutions for women with quote-unquote unsolvable health challenges. Welcome, my dear. So happy to have you here.
Ian, I am thrilled to be here. What an incredible way to begin. And I am so excited for us to have this very, very important and hopefully uplifting and enlightening conversation today together.
Yeah, I have no doubt about that. So I begin asking my guests, what does the word unbridled mean to you?
Oh, I love this question so much. One of the things I say to my students and my clients, the people in our community, is that unfortunately women know the streets of their towns better than they know the streets and the valleys of their own bodies. And to me, by definition, an unbridled woman is a woman who knows her body really intimately and really feels profoundly safe and deeply at home inside of her own skin. So no matter what comes at her, no matter what challenges she faces, no matter what difficulties are in front of her, she can have one refuge, one home, one sanctuary, and that is her own body.
That is absolutely beautiful. I love that. And that's a home you can take with you everywhere, right?
The home that literally breathes your every single breath and embarks every single step that you take each and every day.
Mm-hmm. Thank you for sharing that. I love that. I love that so much. And that is what it goes into what our topic today is going to be about, moving from pelvic pain to pelvic wellness. And I think it just, it's a topic, and we'll get into this a little bit later, and I want to ask your experience with this. But for me, I haven't had a lot of pelvic pain. However, following your work really educated me about my body, and that it doesn't have to be a certain way as you get older, or, things just happen this way because, we just get older, hormones do this and this. I've gotten a lot of education and tools that have helped me open up my body, and like you said, become more safe here, or feel like this is a place where I want to hang out, and this is a place that is a place that I can expand and grow from. So I really would love for you to share to our listeners today your unbridled story, that what has brought you to do what you do. And then in the second half, we'll get a little bit more into flourish, and how how you educate your practitioners in bringing this work out there into the world.
I would love to. Thank you for giving me the opportunity. So, like possibly a lot of the reason why most of the time people become healers or coaches or therapists is because of their own adversity or their difficult experiences growing up. And I definitely come from a childhood background of just tremendous violence and tremendous trauma. So much so that I have witnessed growing up my own father remarrying 7 times. I have witnessed my own mother completely falling apart under paranoid schizophrenia. And all I knew growing up was a trauma, a violence, and a tremendous uncertainty about tomorrow. So, not surprisingly, I actually became pregnant and I became mother at a very young age of 18, and probably somewhere in like these deep chambers of my own brain, I wanted to create my own happy family and place where I do feel safe and where I do belong. And my own son, even though I was so young and pretty much didn't know anything about parenting and being mother, my son became the light of my life, the light of my days. And suddenly, in spite of very, very painful childhood, my life started to have sense and meaning. Now, when my boy, Samir, was 4 years old, he got kidnapped. And I have been forcefully separated from my son for over 18 months. And those 18 months, in spite of the fact that my childhood was incredibly painful, the pain of the childhood did not compare to the grueling pain of those 18 months where I have been hearing over and over again that I will never see my son again. Now, through a good law system and jurisdiction, I have become reunited with my son 18 months into this, and slowly and sensitively, we have started to, rebuild our bond and rebuild our relationship after this really, really painful rupture. But what became surprising was that the pain of the abduction and the trauma of separation has created an extreme form of pain and trauma to my own reproductive system. So there I was, 23, 24, 25. I met man of my dreams who became my husband. And we said, let's start our own family and let's have a child. But I was not able to get pregnant. And the trauma of the abduction literally put me on an entire 10 years of unexplained infertility. And there I was, part of me obsessed about becoming mother again, and another part of me, primarily my reproductive system, just simply not being able to get pregnant. So in my hunger, in my desperation, in my quest to become mother again, I have literally traveled the world, and I have studied with some of the biggest names in the world on pain management, on trauma therapy, on trauma resolution, on women's health, to ultimately heal my own reproductive system and become mother again. And 10 years into that, in 2017, I became pregnant with my second son. And me and my husband, we have decided to give him name Rumi, after the ancient poet, because he literally is the light and the messenger, both in our marriage, but also in the very fabric and very structure of our lives. And the interesting piece, Deanne, is as I was, navigating my own healing journey, and throughout those 10 years, I was becoming more and more obsessed and focused on everything to do with pelvis, with gynecology, with reproductive system, with pelvic floor. The one thing that's really important to say here is there was not like the method or the practitioner or the thing that gave me the missing piece or the whole piece around my healing. And what I came to realize for myself is there is tremendous amount of fragmentation in the woman's health. And what I mean by that, obviously there are a lot of bodies of work, there are a lot of methods, but if we look at everything from like a bird's eye perspective, we have one world, which is all about the body. This is where, let's say, functional medicine comes in. This is where things like Arvigo therapy comes in. This is where, different forms of body works come in, gut work, liver work, what have you, but like really heavily focused on the healing of the biology. Now, on the other side, we have the world of trauma therapy, psycho-emotional healing, metaphysics, and so on. But no one is actually creating a marriage between the two. Because what I came to understand for myself in my pursuit of becoming mother is, in order to really heal whatever is happening in the pelvis, we have to speak the language of both. It's not enough to do, for example, gut work, where on the other side, woman is living and operating in the world in a type A personality, and the type A personality is creating this chronic stress and chronic inflammation response that is ultimately, tearing down her gut lining. On the other side, if we take it exactly from an opposite perspective, it's not enough to just address the type A personality if the same woman is sitting on her butt whole day. And sitting on her butt, by the way, means you're sitting on your pelvic floor. And one of the jokes I like to have with my students and clients is, if you're sitting on your pelvic floor all day, you're literally creating like this grilled cheese sandwich inside of your own pelvic floor. And we have this ideology as women that, as we age and we have a couple of kids, having incontinence is something just like comes with age. And incontinence is sign of weak pelvic floor. But often that is not true. Most women's pelvic floors are incredibly tense, and they are actually incredibly tense because the amount of sitting and stationary positions we inhibit in our everyday lives. But going back to this, I was like, when Rumi was born, I was like, I have to create a body of work that really merges the two worlds, ultimately the world of physical healing with the world of psycho-emotional healing, so that we can really address the whole woman in front of us. Whether that's woman that's struggling with horrendous menopausal symptoms like hot flashes, vaginal dryness, major hormonal imbalances, or it's woman like me who is desperately trying to get pregnant, or it's women with issues like endometriosis or PCOS, especially in the case of endometriosis, that's by medical system deemed quote unquote untreatable. We have to address the whole woman in front of us in order to really not only eliminate the pain, the dysfunction, the inflammation, whatever it is, but subsequently to actually make woman an agent in her own healing by understanding how her body works and having tools that actually put the power of healing into her own hands.
Yes. I love that. That is, I think that's the ultimate goal, is to become your own agent of your body, of your healing. So it's what I'm hearing, what I feel into that is, if when we don't know what we don't know, we can't ask questions about things. We don't know what to seek out. And, for some reason, all these years, these centuries, women have not been taught about their bodies. And, the anatomy that we get, if you do get anatomy in school, it's just very basic. And like you said, it's just more on that physical, not how, emotions are affecting this, past experiences are affecting this, your daily lifestyle is affecting this. Yeah, it's really, really important. So I know you said there wasn't one thing that kind of quote unquote healed you, but I'm curious, when did you start to notice healing or a difference as you were going through your journey there?
Certainly. I love this question. And really the big shift, the big breakthrough for me was shifting out of the terror of being pregnant again, being mother again, and the subsequent vulnerable possibility of losing my child again, to both on a very psychological level, feeling safe with pregnancy, birth, motherhood, and beyond, but also feeling the deep sense of safety in my entire pelvic ball. And when I say entire pelvic ball, I'm literally talking womb, fallopian tubes, ovaries, cervix, vagina, pelvic floor, the entire pelvic system. So feeling that somatically and psychologically, believing, knowing in the depth of my psyche that it is safe for me to be a mother again. While, of course, being open to the dichotomy of life of there is no ultimate certainty in anything. Of course, being mother again exposes me to the vulnerability of losing my child in whatever shape or context that can be, and really feeling okay with the duality that's happening and that we are all exposed to every single day.
Yeah, it sounds there was a definite, also, a mindset shift as well, going into the non-attachment and the belief and being present with what was where you were at and what was there for you at that time, being very present into your body. And I love somatic work, and I think for me, it's been very profound. Even as you were speaking, I'm like, oh yeah, that feels really good to just connect to all these pieces of my body. You know, there's a sense of, I just got goosebumps actually. There's this intimacy that comes to putting our focus, our energy, bringing the felt sense into these areas. It's almost like we're breathing life. When we bring our energy and focus there, breathing more life into these areas and just filling them with more vitality and vibrancy that just fills us up, you know, just everywhere.
Yes. Yes. Somatic work is incredibly powerful. And I really believe if more women were, for some women that might mean being exposed to this work. For some women, it might mean being open to this work. For some women, it might mean maybe overcoming some resistances or inner challenges to like lean into this and even believe in the possibility that this can create change for them. But ultimately, if more women were to embrace a somatic sense of safety in their pelvic ball, we would not see this alarming numbers of sexual, gynecological, and pelvic health challenges we are unfortunately facing every single day.
And there's something very empowering with that, right? If you're able to open up to a possibility to move, just what you said, there's different levels of how women kind of come into this work, and it, some just dive right in, and some are as baby steps, but just allowing yourself the opportunity to experience just a little bit, knowing that you have this power to heal yourself, to keep your whole reproductive, your whole pelvic system, your womb, your all there, and other places of your body too, like healthy, by just taking that step that might just be a little uncomfortable sometimes, but there's so much like beyond that. For me, I love, I kind of sometimes see like my line of comfort zone around me. Okay. But then, something propels me to step over that line a little bit. And what happens is when you step over that line, then that line moves further out. So you're expanding your comfort zone as you are confronting your comfort zone. Right. And then and the possibilities that can bring into your life are amazing.
Yes, I love this so much. And I believe that pelvic health work is the most important health work across all systems of the body. And I'll tell you why. Aside of the obvious, what we mentioned, that, someone can struggle with direct issues like infertility, menopausal symptoms, endometriosis, pelvic pain, the truth is that pelvic ball is one of the most marvelous parts in the body. Think about this. Everything you eat, every drink you have, every sandwich you have, every pizza you have, whatever it is, everything that comes in your body, that your body processes that it no longer needs, literally comes out of your body through the pelvic funnel. Everything. In addition to that, pelvis is literally the bridge between your digestion and your walking, the way you move in the world. It is the intersection between your gut and between your legs. In addition to that, pelvis is the place where, providing we have the capacity, and biologically we all have the capacity, but there can be some pieces that we need to attend to and work through. But the potential is to experience the most exquisite sexual pleasure, the peak of pleasure that our bodies can experience are literally happening inside of the pelvis. Whether it's a clitoral orgasm or G-spot orgasm or cervical orgasm, but it's all stemming inside of the pelvis. And then through the process of sexual intimacy, the sperm and egg meet, and we actually step into the experience of conception and subsequently growing our baby inside of our womb.
Yeah.
So everything from the vastness of sexual pleasure through conceiving, growing, birthing baby inside of us, all the way through how we move and navigate ourselves in the world and releasing from the system the waste that no longer serves us. Everything is happening in this divine system of female pelvic ball.
Wow. That you've just painted a picture that's given me so much more appreciation for this. I love the word you used, this divine aspect of our bodies. Wow. I guess I just never really thought through all of that. And I love the way you said move through this world, because that is so very true. Like when we're stuck tight, we're living a stuck tight life. When we have mobility and health and movement, we are able to move through life, experience life. And that's the ultimate, I believe, why we're supposed to be here. This has been amazing, and we're going to get ready to take a little break. Thank you so much, my dear, and for sharing your vulnerable story. And I'm so happy it all came together and the beautiful family that you've created. So we're going to take a little break now. Second half of our journey, Dagmar and I will go a little bit more deep into pelvic pain and pelvic wellness. We're going to talk more about her Flourish Institute, her programs, and get us more in touch with this beautiful divine piece of our bodies, the pelvic area, our womb. See you in a little bit.
Welcome back to The Unbridled Woman with Deanne Rose. Have a question for Deanne or her guests? Join us on the show at 888-346-9141. That's 888-346-9141. Or email Deanne at theunbridledwomanrises@gmail.com. Now, back to the show.
Welcome back to The Unbridled Woman. I am your host, Deanne Rose, and I am here with the inspiring Dagmar Khan, who has been sharing her story on her reclamation of her unbridled woman and her knowledge and wisdom regarding our pelvic floor health and wellness. And that's what we're going to dive a little bit more deeper into the second half, going from pelvic pain to pelvic wellness, and how us women can become more agents to our own bodies, to our own healing, and creating that safe haven within us as we move through the world. So, my dear, let's get a little bit more in depth. I am so curious. How did Flourish come into existence, and how are you changing the world with your company?
Thank you. So as I shared earlier, through my own journey, I have seen a massive missing piece in the market space when it comes to women's health. And it took me, deep birthing of myself and deep birthing of really a very deep studies of women's body, of women's reproductive system, of trauma, of women's psychology, to say, in order to really serve and in order to create a root cause healing for women, whether it's someone who has no sexual drive, or whether it's someone who gets pain after having sex, or whether it's someone who's trying to get pregnant, we have to, as I said earlier, address the whole woman in front of us. So when my second boy was about 8 to 10 months, I have decided, after both my own journey, but subsequent over 15 plus years at this stage, being in the space of women's health and working with women on their pressing pelvic, gynecological, and reproductive issues, I have made a very clear distinction of birthing Flourish Institute and really creating a home and a hub for people like yoga teachers, for people like chiropractors, for people like tantra coaches, for people like acupuncturists, or anyone who has really deep desire to specialize in women's health, and actually train them through a trauma-informed women's health coaching process. Now, let me distill a few pieces here because these are really, really important. Firstly, why trauma-informed work in the women's health space, in a women's pelvic health space matters. Obviously, we have probably the most painful and most traumatizing and most debilitating wounds related to things like rape, incest, and sexual abuse that are directly living in our pelvis and are massive contributors to women's pelvic health conditions. But aside of the obvious, which is unfortunately, according to World Health Organization, the statistics are that 1 in 3 women has experienced sexual abuse. That's 33% of women, which is insanely high number. But here is the distinction, Deanne. These are reported numbers. Right. In my experience doing this work for many, many years, there's so many women who don't even report or go to authorities related to their sexual abuse. But World Health Organization suggests it's 33% of women. But aside of this obvious, we have so much trauma, indirect trauma, or like a smaller form of trauma that are living in our pelvis, from things that so many women can relate to, like really bad gynecological exam, like really horrendous thing when the spatula went into your vagina and let's say gynecologist would like protruding in there and has taken off the spatula in a very abrupt way that left you in a heightened state of shock, maybe possible even micro wounds, all the way to bleeding. There are forms of trauma that are directly impacting our pelvis that are heavily boiled in conditioning. How many women are being told from a very young age that your bleed is meant to hurt? First sex is meant to hurt, but make sure at the same time that you are not sleeping around because you will get pregnant. That fear of getting pregnant is so ingrained in us, and it's profoundly traumatizing. The fear of aging, the fear of sex, the shame around sex, the slut shaming, that you shouldn't be this way, you shouldn't be that way. All of that creates tremendous layers of trauma. So we won't be in a service to our women, impacting or trying to impact the health of their pelvic ball if we are not a trauma-informed practitioners. And unfortunately, there is so much re-traumatization that is happening in women's pelvic health space, where often women, in their desire to heal or in their desire to eliminate pain or in their desire to get control over their symptoms, they go to, certain therapists or certain people that are actually working with the pelvis and pelvic floor only to get traumatized more and more. So being trauma-informed practitioner to me is being a practitioner that can do this work in integrity and truly serve the woman in front of them, whether the woman has experienced, a debilitating trauma to her system, or there are these layers up and layers up and layers that have actually directly impacted what is happening in the pelvic bowl.
If I want to just really emphasize, because I think it's very important for women to know that, like trauma is not just a rape of, actual sexual assault. It is, these little micro traumas over time that, you might, poo-poo, maybe that, that's nothing, no big deal, but more and more of that over time, or even just that first time, like you said, if an exam, was rough and you didn't feel safe, that's very traumatizing, and it could really affect the body, your psychology. So I think it's very important for women to not diminish little, what you might say, little traumas, those are very important as well.
Yes. And often I want to highlight this piece because I feel this is a piece that doesn't get spoken enough about in our space, is the quote unquote micro traumas can have lifelong consequences on what is happening in female pelvis. And I want to share a story with you of a client of mine that I have worked with several years ago. And this is a woman who has been married to her childhood sweetheart for 7 years. They were mad about each other. They had a brilliant marriage, head over heels. However, in 7 years of marriage, they never consummated it. They never had sexual intercourse together. So when she came into my practice and we started working together and actually unpacking, where is that coming from? Is it coming from him? Is it coming from her? Is there something subtle that's happening in the bedroom? Like, where is that coming from? What it boiled down to is this woman has been brought up in a relatively strict religious upbringing, where she has been deeply conditioned pretty much her whole life that sex is not safe. And the distinction was made: sex with your husband is safe, just make sure that you're a virgin and you don't have a sex before marriage. However, her body has absorbed this conditioning in a way that chronically made her pelvic floor muscles tight, that chronically shut down her vagina, which actually the result of what it led to is an utter impossibility for sexual intercourse, in spite of the fact that she deeply loved her husband and she was very, very attracted to him. So what that required of us, and this is also, I know we have been looking at, we have to address the psychological pieces in order to help the woman in front of us. And that was exactly happening for her. Her belief sex is not safe was creating a biological response in her body of chronically tightening her pelvic floor and closing down her vaginal canal. So we had to unpack the conditioning and almost like create that with the conditioning, form a new beliefs, and actually bring those beliefs directly into her pelvic floor and into her vagina so that her body is in state of openness and receptivity. And guess what? Through that work, she and her husband had their first sexual intercourse in 6 weeks. In 6 weeks. That's after 7 years.
7 years. That's incredible.
After 7 years. In 6 weeks, they were able to consummate their marriage and they got pregnant with their first baby girl 3 months into our work together. And in 9 months, they actually welcomed their baby girl into their life.
Wow. That's what a testament. What a testament to the work and to how the belief systems affect the body. Now, I could just imagine if she had went, and she probably had gone to just a practitioner doing physical things.
Pelvic floor therapist. Yes.
Yeah. And probably nothing, yeah, nothing was happening because there's really technically physically that those tools would help. There wasn't going to do anything. It was all the body holding this belief system that it wasn't safe for her to have intimacy.
Yeah.
Wow. Thank you for sharing that. Thank you.
My pleasure.
So, going back, the Flourish Institute.
So we were talking about like why trauma informed is important.
Yes. Mm-hmm.
And the second piece that like the second model here is actually facilitating the work through a women's health coaching. And I want to talk about why coaching and what that does for the client, what that does for the practitioner, and why we are not prescribing.
Oh. Okay, my power has gone out.
Are we back?
I am back. Oh my goodness, my power went out. Oh gosh.
Okay.
Sorry about that.
Do you have enough battery life to finish off the show, Deanne?
I'm off my phone now, hotspot.
Okay.
Yeah, we're good.
Okay, no problem. What I'm going to do, I just played some music. I'm going to count you back down, and then you'll be back on the air, okay?
Okay, great. Thank you.
Great. In 5, 4, 3, 2.
All right. Well, the lights went out here in Austin, and here we are back. Thank goodness for hotspots on the iPhone. Okay. So we're going back into why coaching is important. So please continue, Dagmar.
Let's dive in. So here is a piece. Women's health coaching gives, first and foremost, the practitioner capacity to work completely hands off. And, why hands-on work is really valuable and beautiful and creates tremendous healing results for many, many clients. The truth is that a lot of body workers, not initially like at the start of their journey, but kind of like, those 8, 10, 15 years into their massage therapy practice, they are tired. The carpal tunnel, the arthritis, the golfer's elbow, the elbow tendonitis, the rotator cuff injuries. I mean, it takes a lot. It takes a lot. And for body workers, shifting into coaching space, it really allows them to make their living in so much more gentle way, with so much more honoring of their body. While at the same time, what that does for the client is instead of, client lodging on your table and say, hey, like, take care of me, the client gets to be actually empowered through education, knowing how their body works, tools for eliminating pain, improving orgasm, reducing inflammation, enhancing function of their liver, whatever it is. Subsequently, through coaching, we are really able to facilitate so much that our medical system is not able to facilitate, such as really take time to deeply listen to our client in front of us. Subsequently, navigate the inner challenges, whether that's pieces of like deep fear or resistance to follow through, or navigate challenges with self-judgment or inner criticism or chronic procrastination. Through coaching, we are really able to, in trauma-informed and accountable way, navigate those inner challenges and inner blocks that client is facing. And through this, the deep listening, the teaching and empowering client with the tools that ultimately allow them to be their own best healer, we are subsequently facilitating coaching, whether that's coaching around endometriosis, whether that's coaching around becoming pregnant with your first child, whether that's coaching with like, let's consummate marriage after 7 years of
right.
never never feeling my husband, whatever it is, we're actually focusing and creating the work in the container of what are my clients' goals? What are my clients' desires? Where is this woman heading? What is the path in front of them? So instead of, even as there is a lot of focus on, the problems, the eliminating of the pain, the eliminating of the symptoms, we are doing it through a perspective of this is where we are heading, this is what a client wants, which is actually profoundly life affirming.
Mm-hmm.
And that life affirming approach to solving some of the most, hidden issues in women's pelvic tissues, right? Everyone wants to sweep that part of the body under the carpet. Even our medical doctors is like, oh, vagina, don't talk to me about this. Oh my God, like your pelvic floor, like go to someone else here. Like no one has the tenacity to actually talk about it and address it with the grace and power and potency that it truly deserves. Therefore, having the life affirming approach to clients, in some instances, lifelong issues, or maybe sudden acute issues, or whatever it is profoundly uplifting for the woman in front of us. So what we do in Flourish Institute, we have a professional training programs that take, healers, therapists, coaches, and in relatively short period of time, train them as a women's health specialist with capacity to work and deliver this work online or in person if you choose to. But really that online interventions are a big part of our programming, big part of our training. And through that, actually build a financially nourishing business, a financially nourishing practice with truly a mission that serves female lives. And because we are talking about the reproductive system, actually serves our future generations.
Yeah. It sounds amazing and so needed. I am so very grateful that you birthed this company and this way to educate people who are in touch with women in all aspects. Like you said, chiropractors, acupuncturists. It doesn't necessarily have to be, a doctor per se, right? It's people who want to help women and are dealing with these certain issues. And I love, and we only have a few minutes here, but what I think an important message here too is, when you do go to certain practitioners, you have this label put on you that you have this certain thing. And to just be aware that that is not you. And there's a reason why this is showing up for you. And it's just not like, oh, I have endometriosis. It's like, you are experiencing these symptoms for this, and there is a deeper reason why this is coming to the surface. And actually that's a kind of a blessing too, right? When it starts to come to the surface. So you can be aware of, okay, these are issues I need to address for myself, for my healing.
Yes. Every symptom, every condition, every pain, every malady can be a tremendous gift that leads to possibilities of profound biological healing, profound spiritual openings, and often, like in my case, and in case of many of our practitioners, in making actually a dharmic path or life purpose path of its own.
Beautiful. So where can our listeners find you, my dear?
I love that. So first and foremost, our website is flourishinstitute.org. That's flourish, FLOURISH. Spelling is not my strongest forte. Flourishinstitute.org. You can connect with me on Facebook. I'm very much Facebook girl. We have a thriving Facebook community called Women's Health CEO, and you can find me on Facebook at Dagmar Khan.
Thank you. Thank you for this beautiful talk. I need to wrap it up. Thank you for my listeners today. If you come back next week, we are going to be talking to my guest, Laura Jack, a grief recovery specialist and a recovering good girl. We're going to be good girl gone authentic. That's our topic. Thank you, Dagmar. It's been a blessing. I loved having you here. Thank you for honoring us with your wisdom and your time. Many blessings to you.
Thank you, Dan. Pleasure. And thank you so much for having me.